guest of honor, the esteemed speaker, the coordinator, the project manager, and all the committee members of i-SENSEI CPT 10, as well as the virtual audience. Hello and a very good afternoon. Before the webinar begins, let us invite Mr. Jeffrey Nicholas from the District Education Office of Sandakan to say a word of prayer. Mr. Jeffrey, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ya Allah, Ya Rahim. Praise be to the God of the Lord of the worlds. Peace and blessing upon our Prophet Mohamed sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions, and for those who followed his example till the judgment day. Ya Allah, on this blessed day, we beseech Thee and the grateful towards in the favor of all the infinite blessing to us, Your humble servant, to live in this safe and prosperous life. We seek Your blessing for flawless progress of this i-SENSEI event from the beginning till the end. We seek Your guidance to steer clear of events that would detrimental the progress of the event. Ya Latif, Ya Rahim, please bless us with Your tawfiq and hidayah. Please guide us to greatness, peace, glory, and prosperity in this world and the hereafter. Make us responsible intellectual. Make us righteous servant that followed Your command and neglect the sinful act. Please forgive us for our wrongdoing. Ya Munzilil Barakat, preserve us from any threat and sickness. And to You, Allah, we ask for security and prosperity upon us. Bestow patience in us in order to face the challenges from You. Please accept our deeds and please reward us accordingly. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azabannar. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Tinggi-tinggi gunung Kinabalu, hai kopi sanangan, yoho i-SENSEI.
Hello, saya i-SENSEI.
Assalamualaikum. I am i-SENSEI.
Hey, i-SENSEI.
i-SENSEI.
Hello, i-SENSEI.
Hello, aku ang i-SENSEI.
I am i-SENSEI.
Hizono i-SENSEI. Onsoy.
I am i-SENSEI.
Yoko i-SENSEI.
i-SENSEI 会嘎。
我是 i-SENSEI.
Izo i-SENSEI.
Hi, good morning everyone. I am i-SENSEI.
我是 i-SENSEI.
Hi, i-SENSEI.
Winnie i-SENSEI.
Hello, ngài he i-SENSEI.
Yoku i-SENSEI.
我是 i-SENSEI. Thank you, Mr. Jeffrey, for the prayer. Yes, all the educators are i-SENSEI. Ladies and gentlemen, according to John Maxwell, an outstanding American author, leadership is not about titles, positions, or flowcharts. It is about one life influencing another. Well, let us see if this quote will fit the title today. To the beloved guest of honor, Wan Haja Ajanah Binti Mohamed, the Chief Senior Assistant Director of the Language Unit, Sabah State Education Department. the distinguished speaker of today's program, Coach Jasmine Leong, the certified speaker and trainer of the John Maxwell team, who is also the CEO of International English Center, School of English Language and Study Abroad Consultancy, Sabah. Tuan Haji Iqbal bin Ismail, the coordinator of i-SENSEI Continuous Professional Development Courses, the project manager of i-SENSEI CPD 10, Madam Norsiah Binti Abdullah from the District Education Office of Kunak, all the committee members, all the virtual audience, near and far. I would like to bid you again a very good afternoon. Salam Sabah hebat, say no to number 16, say yes to top 10. On behalf of all the committee members, I welcome your presence with us to listen to the, well, I think it must be very interesting sharing of Coach Jasmine Leong, with the topic entitled Leadership Capacity, Your Ability to Live and Lead Others. Before the welcoming speech is given, let me explain the program objectives of i-SENSEI. Number 1, to increase coaching and leadership tools for officers and teachers. Number 2, to identify and incorporate coaching influence. Number 3, to apply tools in a situational leadership context. My dear audience, without further ado, I would like to invite the guest of honor, Puan Haja Ajanah binti Mohamed, to deliver her welcoming speech. Puan Haja, the room is yours.
Terima kasih pengacara majlis kita, Puan Carol Yap. Puan Carol Yap, terima kasih. SISC Plus Kota Kinabalu. Terima kasih. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera. Yang dihormati tetamu undangan kita iaitu Coach Jasmine Leong, the John Maxwell and CAO IAC, Norsiah Abdullah sebagai Project Manager SISC Plus PPD Kunak, dan tim dan semua warga pendidik yang bersama kita pada petang ini. Sabah hebat, katakan tidak kepada nombor 16, katakan ya kepada 10 terbaik. Alhamdulillah, syukur kita kepada Allah SWT kena dengan rahmatnya kita dapat bersama-sama dalam program webinar i-SENSEI pada hari ini. Yang kali ini merupakan yang ke-10. Tidak terasa kita sudah sampai yang ke-10. Terlebih dahulu saya mengucapkan ribuan terima kasih dan sekalung penghargaan kepada semua jawatankuasa CPD i-SENSEI kali ke-10, iaitu kumpulan SISC Plus yang diketuai oleh Puan Norsiah Abdullah SISC Plus Kunak kerana telah berusaha merealisasikan webinar dengan jayanya pada kali ini. Saya berharap agar program ini mempunyai nilainya yang tersendiri dalam menyumbang kepada peningkatan kualiti kemahiran bimbingan para pegawai SISC Plus dan warga pendidik keseluruhannya. Terlebih dahulu saya mewakili Jabatan Pendidikan Negeri Sabah ingin mengucapkan ribuan terima kasih kepada penceramah jemputan kita pada petang ini iaitu Miss Jasmine Leong, John Maxwell dan CEO of IAC Sabah. Personally, saya memang kenal Miss Jasmine. Dia seorang anak muda yang hebat, berkarisma dan seorang ketua yang berjaya menjadi CEO kepada IAC. So, walaupun Miss Jasmine bukan seorang guru, tetapi kerjanya sebagai CEO IIC berkait rapat dengan pendidikan. Jadi memang sesuai untuk kita jemput sebagai penceramah pada petang ini. Mudah-mudahan perkongsian ilmu daripada beliau pada hari ini akan menghasilkan perubahan minda kepada tuan-puan ke arah perkhidmatan yang terbaik, berkualiti dan dapat menyumbang kepada kecemerlangan organisasi masing-masing. Tuan-puan warga pendidik sekalian, objektif webinar pada hari ini adalah untuk meningkatkan kemahiran membimbing dan kepimpinan dalam kalangan pegawai, khususnya kalangan SISC Plus dan juga guru. Kedua, untuk mengenal pasti dan mengembangkan kemahiran serta pengaruh bimbingan warga pendidik. Seterusnya, menggunakan kemahiran dalam konteks kepimpinan situasional. Oleh yang demikian, saya yakin dan percaya pelaksanaan pembangunan profesional berterusan Continuing Professional Development CPD ini merupakan usaha bersepadu bagi memastikan profesion perguruan melengkapkan diri dengan pengetahuan, kemahiran dan nilai serta amalan profesional berdasarkan pembangunan kompetensi pembelajaran berterusan. Pendekatan ini amat penting kerana bidang pendidikan sentiasa berkembang dan amat memerlukan para profesion dalam dunia pendidikan sentiasa meningkatkan ilmu selari dengan dunia pendidikan. Sentiasa meningkatkan ilmu selari dengan kemajuan yang dicapai supaya dapat memberikan pendidikan yang terbaik kepada anak-anak didik, khususnya masyarakat kami. Warga pendidik sekalian, pembangunan profesional berterusan CPD ini adalah penting bagi pembangunan warga pendidik. Warga pendidik perlu sentiasa mengemas kini atau mengikuti perkembangan ilmu seperti kepimpinan. Kemahiran membimbing maupun kemahiran pedagogi, terutama semasa pandemik COVID-19, yang memerlukan guru lebih kreatif dalam mencari kaedah terbaik dan mengadaptasi cara pembelajaran mengikut kesesuaian murid. Bagi memastikan kejayaan proses pengajaran dan pembelajaran di rumah, iaitu PDPR, di samping membantu untuk merealisasikan dan mengangkat visi dan misi KPM, terutama program kita Penolong dan katakannya kepada nombor 10. Webinar pada kali ini yang bertajuk Leadership Capacity, Your Ability to Lead Others, amat sesuai untuk puan-puan sebagai pemimpin. Pemimpin yang hebat sudah tentu pemimpin yang sentiasa memikirkan cara atau strategi untuk membangunkan dan memimpin orang-orang dalam kumpulan mereka, atau rakan sekedar mahukan orang lain menjadi penyumbang yang berdaya dalam bak kata bijak pandai. Para pemimpin sejati bukan hanya menciptakan pengikut, tetapi mereka banyak menciptakan para pemimpin baru. Kata-kata ini amat sesuai kepada tugas-tugas SISC Plus, iaitu menjadi pemimpin kepada middle leader di sekolah. Manakala ketua bidang ataupun panitia menjadi ketua dengan melahirkan guru-guru yang cemerlang di bawah sendiri. Di samping itu, peranan sebagai pemimpin dengan menjadikan diri sebagai pembelajar sepanjang hayat ataupun lifelong learner agar dapat memikirkan intervensi dan resolusi yang sesuai dengan agenda atau isu yang dihadapi dalam organisasi dan bidang tugas masing-masing dari masyarakat. Pepatah Melayu menganalogikan guru sebagai lilin membakar diri bagi menerangi orang lain masih relevan dalam era globalisasi ini. Kebaran guru masa depan lebih hebat. Guru harus berfikiran global dengan mengadunkan aspek tempatan dengan pelbagai titik dunia yang berlaku begitu pantas. Dengan pelbagai kerena yang harus dibendung secara lebih bijaksana dan berhati-hati. Jadi untuk menjadikan seorang pendidik ataupun pemimpin berfikiran global, banyakkanlah membaca buku-buku tentang kepemimpinan. Banyak buku-buku kepemimpinan yang ada di pasaran yang dihasilkan oleh penulis terkenal. Antaranya buku yang dihasilkan oleh Covey, James Collins, itu merupakan penulis-penulis hebat yang kita sebagai pemimpin perlu membacanya. Tuan-tuan, semoga perkongsian ilmu kali ini akan memberikan manfaat kepada semua yang hadir, menyertai webinar secara maya dan sebarkanlah ilmu yang diperlukan kepada rakan-rakan yang tidak dapat bersama pada kali ini. Bukan senang untuk kita bersama-sama dengan Miss Jasmine, dan mungkin kalau kita sendiri saja kita perlukan host. Tapi hari ini kita mendapat hikmat yang percuma daripada Miss Leong dengan usaha dan kuasa SISC yang begitu hebat. Tahniah. Jadi marilah kita bersama-sama memberi tekad untuk bekerja dengan lebih gigih, memulatkan semangat dan tenaga kita ke arah kecemerlangan pendidikan GPN Sabah dan Malaysia. Amin. Marilah kita sama-sama berusaha untuk meningkatkan lagi kompetensi kita sebagai seorang pemimpin. Okey. Sebelum saya menutup ucapan perasmian ini, saya membawa tuan-puan berfikir tentang kata bijak pandai yang menunjukkan betapa hebatnya peranan seorang pemimpin yang dapat mengubah orang-orang di bawahnya. Di bawah pemimpin yang baik, anak buah bodoh pun ada gunanya. Tapi di bawah pemimpin yang bodoh, pasukan terbaik pun kucar-kucir. Jadi fikir-fikirkan, jangan kita jadi pemimpin yang bodoh. Okey, akhir kata sekali lagi saya mengucapkan ribuan terima kasih kepada sebagai mewakili Jabatan Pendidikan Negeri Sabah, mengucapkan ribuan terima kasih kepada Miss Jasmine dan juga tahniah kepada semua pasukan i-SENSEI CPD kali ke-10 pada petang ini yang diketuai oleh Puan Norsiah. Tahniah, syabas ya. Dan saya dengan sukacitanya dan dengan bangganya meresmikan webinar i-SENSEI kali ke-10 Jabatan Pendidikan Negeri Sabah bagi tahun 2021 ini. Sekian, wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Serahkan kembali kepada MC kita. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Madam Carol Yap. A very good afternoon to the officiator, Puan Ajanah Binti Mohamed, the project manager, Madam Norsiah Binti Abdullah, organizers of continuous professional development session, the i-SENSEI team, for the opportunity given as the moderator and to be part in the sharing of this very much needed knowledge on leadership capacity. I am truly honored to introduce a very distinguished person today, an independent certified coach, a teacher and speaker with the John C. Maxwell team, a world-renowned organization for leadership trainings all over the world. She is currently holding a position of CEO of IEC, a School of English Language and Study Abroad consultancy. She obtained her Bachelor's of Law degree with Human Resource Management from the United Kingdom. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Jasmine is a very well-rounded person indeed. She has always been an achiever of high standards. She has vast experience in athletics, representing state and national team as a coach and also a swimmer. Musically inclined and has great interest in theatrical performances, an 8th grade pianist, qualifying herself in the World Championship in public speaking, and have been a Toastmaster for the past 20 years. A person of high caliber, she is actively involved in uplifting moral standards of young adults through her motivational talks. She is also mindful of the need in inspiring students to live their passions and dreams. The current passion is to build up the creative education arm of the World IEC so that the next generation can grow into a confident, well-rounded citizens of the world. Can you ask for more from a person who aspires to shaping and bringing the standards of young minds to be world-embracing citizens of the world, cutting across the limitations of race and religion? Ladies and gentlemen, Jasmine dedicates herself in giving motivational and career guidance talks and workshops across secondary school students and a career guidance counselor for the past 18 years. And at present, Jasmine Leong is a certified coach and trainer with the John C. Maxwell team, trained to speak on leadership and personal growth topics, and has been invited to speak and train private companies. Sabah HR partnered with the US Embassy for their Wanita Empowered Business Mentoring programs, as well as conducting training courses online since the pandemic began. In the next 1 hour, she will share tips from leadership guru and best-selling author John C. Maxwell on the topic of leadership capacity, your ability to lift and lead others. We humbly request all virtual audience to forward questions pertinent to the subject in the given platform. Questions will be duly answered at the end of the speech. With that note, I take great pleasure inviting a very distinguished person, a coach, a motivator, and an enthusiastic and energetic Miss Jasmine Leong to the virtual stage. Please welcome Miss Jasmine.
Thank you so much, Mr. Anandan. That was such a generous introduction. I did write everything for him. I'm kidding, but yeah, I did. But he embellished it to the max. So thank you so much. I feel a little bit embarrassed now, but hello and welcome to this i-SENSEI talk. I'm so honored to be your speaker for today, and I want to give a shout out as well to our guest of honor, Puan Haja Ajanah. Is bersyukurlah kami boleh berjumpa walaupun virtual kan. At least we can meet again. I think the last time I met her was quite a number of years ago, and I call her Cikgu Ajanah. So good to see you again, Cikgu Ajanah. And as well as thank you, Puan Carol and the team, Puan Norsiah and the team for inviting me and organizing this special webinar. Hi, I'm Jasmine. Just call me Jasmine, or you can call me Coach Jasmine, which is my new name as part of the John Maxwell team. But I'm a KK girl, and my link with the education department, Sabah education department in particular, goes way back to my dad, Encik KC Leong, who was the principal of SMK Tamparuli back in the 1970s. So he has fond memories of his time as a principal with the Sabah government before he started out in IEC and founded IEC as a school of English language to educate and teach English to our local students here so that they can go abroad to study and come back and contribute to Sabah economy after they have studied. So education has always been part of my life. And my mother, Dato' Adeline Leong, has been in the civil service for most of her adult life as well, director of the State Library for 25 years, and then most recently, the ambassador to Taiwan. So we owe a lot to Malaysia and to Sabah, and Sabah has also given us a lot in return as well. So without further ado, yes, don't worry, we won't be pemimpin yang bodoh, as Puan Ajanah has so eloquently put. So today we're going to try to be leaders that will be able to raise our ability to lift and lead others. Yes, because we want to go from 16 to top 10. Sabah boleh, Sabah boleh. Now, all of you coaches and teachers here, you are amazing already. I mean, you have the best job in the world. You have the responsibility to nurture and influence the next generation of leaders. How awesome is that? And that's not something to take lightly as well. That's why I so enjoy, and I'm so honored to be one of the speakers for i-SENSEI and the SISC Plus program, which I think is the value in it is just for this, right? It's for the personal development of the coaches and teachers so that we can develop the next generation of leaders. So I so resonate with all the values that i-SENSEI and SISC Plus holds. So what is leadership capacity and why the ability to lift and lead others? Allow me to just share with you a little bit about myself. So John Maxwell, my guru and mentor, says that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. This is one of his most famous quotes in leadership. If you just Google leadership quotes, this will probably come up maybe 5 out of 10 times that you Google. And why does he say that? Well, because it's true. Leadership is all about influence. It's not about position, as what Ms. Carol, our wonderful MC, said earlier as well. It's not about position, it's about one life influencing the other. Now, in 2012, I was in Orlando, Florida, as part of the Toastmasters. I was there for the Toastmasters International Convention, where the World Championship of Public Speaking was being held, and we were blessed to listen to so many amazing speakers from around the world. And John Maxwell was one of the Gavel Award recipients. So every year, Toastmasters International, an international organization for public speaking and leadership and communication, would award the Gavel Award to a leader of the community. And every time Maxwell speaks, he would stay back to sign books. And of course, I was not going to miss the opportunity to meet such a great mentor and such a great leadership guru. So I had that picture taken when he signed my book, and he signed it to Jasmine. So I still have it till today. In 2019, I decided to go a step further and join the Maxwell team, the John Maxwell team, as a certified coach, trainer, and speaker. It took me 9 months to complete the program, and I was supposed to go to Orlando, Florida for 3 days graduation in March 2020, but we all know what happened. So I had to graduate virtually online. It wasn't quite the same, but still, at least I got to see him and wave and have my certificate in my hand. But I do hope to go one day to Florida so that I can meet him and I can take a picture with him again properly as a certified coach. A bit more about me. I used to swim for Sabah and Malaysia. I used to be a state swimmer. That was me winning the Sukma gold back in the late 90s. Yes, I'm not that young, but in the late 90s. I'm now the CEO of IEC, as you've heard, which is the School of English Language and Study Abroad consultancy that my dad founded since 1981, actually, he founded it. I love ballet. And so I dance, although I don't have the perfect ballerina body, but I still dance because I love it. as a passion. And I love musical theater, as what Mr. Anandan has so graciously said. And so this is me on stage, both on stage in KK actually. We have a beautiful theater here in JKKN, the government-owned theater right here in KK, and that's where I performed. And because as a result of this passion, I've decided to open up another creative arm at IEC, which is baby ballet. So we have English language, we have study abroad, and now we go all the way down to the little ones where we teach them creative movement and we teach in English as well. So that's a bit about me. Now we're going to talk about 4 principles of leadership, 4 principles of leadership. But before the 4 principles of leadership, I'm going to ask Juan Carmela to share the first video. And this is John Maxwell talking about leadership and how leadership can lift others. So here's John Maxwell in lifting others.
Hi, John Maxwell here. I'm glad you're joining me today on Minute with Maxwell. The phrase I want to talk to you about today is lifting others up. If you want to be indispensable in the life of others, if you want to have a relationship where people love to see you walk into the room, sit down at the restaurant and at the table where they are, if you really want to be that kind of person where everybody looks and says, oh, they're here, it's because you're lifting up other people. You're an encouragement to others. People want to be around people that make them feel good, that encourage them, that lift them up. You see, there are basically 2 kinds of people in the world. There are the pluses and the minors. There are the lifters and the leaners. There are the people who lift you up and encourage you, and then there are others that just kind of lean on you, and the longer they lean, the heavier it gets. So I tell people all the time, relationships are really quite simple. Just decide to intentionally be a plus in people's lives, not a minus. A minus is always asking for something, looking for others to lift them up and make their day. You initiate the lifting up today. You become the first to smile. You become the first to say an encouraging word. Trust me, when you lift up others, guess what happens to you? You begin to be lifted up yourself. I'm so glad today you joined with me on Minute with Maxwell.
And that's John Maxwell. Every day since he was in his 20s, when he started the John Maxwell programs and his books, he has been doing a Minute with Maxwell. You can find him on YouTube, and every day he would share one phrase or one word and talk about it for a minute or 2. That's why it's called Minute with Maxwell. That's so encouraging, isn't it? So why do we lift others? Because we are the plus. We want to be a plus in others' lives. So let's go through the principles of lifting. Number 1, you should have the worksheets that I've passed on to the team to pass to every participant here so that you can follow along with your notes and fill in the blanks as we go along as well. Because, you know, when you listen, you probably can catch half of what I'm saying, but when you write it down and you apply it, then you catch 100% of today's lesson as well. So do fill in the worksheets as we go along this workshop. We're going to have 4 principles, and the first one is really to ask questions and listen to understand and find your people. What does that mean? Because questions and listening equals quality conversation, and quality conversation equals quality leadership. Because John Maxwell says, you know, communication is the language of leadership, right? If leadership is about relationships, then communication is the language of leadership. You know, John said before in his book that for years he's been giving answers to questions that nobody was asking. So true, isn't it? Sometimes we don't listen before we speak, and we don't ask enough questions to understand. And talking about listening, very often when we say, oh yeah, we'll listen, we usually listen to interrupt. We listen to make sure that we can solve the problem, or we want to solve the problem before we listen fully to what the other person is saying. And I want to give you this tip as well. Maybe just pose this question. Do you listen to what is not being said? Communication is so much more than just speaking and talking as well, right? It's about tone, it's about body language, it's about the way you say it. It's not so much about the words, because words are only 7% of what we communicate, but body language is 55% and tone is 38%. Did you know that? 55, 38, and 7% is only words. Now, the law of communication. So questioning and listening. John Maxwell says that leaders touch a heart before they ask for a hand. How many of you would usually ask for a hand before you worry about their heart? Who cares what they think? Because they are under me, right? They're under my leadership, so they should listen to what I say. So whatever I say, they should do. But John says differently. He says, no, touch a heart before they ask for a hand, and they will do anything for you after that. This is something I had to learn the hard way as well. So he says this as well. Questions are the keys that unlock the door to another person's life, but listening keeps the door open. Questions are the keys that unlock the door to another person's life, and listening keeps the door open. But Coach Jasmine, you ask, what questions do I ask? Do I just say, how are you? And if they say fine, and then just carry on? Well, allow me to share with you 3 questions that you can ask to find out more about the person. Of course, you don't ask these questions at the beginning of a relationship. This is for relationships that are already established. So what questions do you ask? What do you laugh about? What do you cry about? And what do you dream about? And at this juncture, I'm going to ask Juan Carmela again to share the second video as Maxwell shares with us about questions. Let's take a look.
I wrote a book several years ago called Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. Hi, John Maxwell here. Welcome to Minute with Maxwell. And the entire book was all about not just talking to people, but connecting with people. Haven't you sat down around a table and sometime you're having a conversation and you look across that table at their face and there's this blank look on their face and you just know that nobody's home. Nobody's home. And there's no connecting going on. And when there's no connecting going on, there's no real vibrant, energetic, life-changing conversation going on. I always have said that connecting with you is my responsibility. How do I do that? I go find where you are. How do I do that? By asking questions. Questions are the key that unlocks the door to connection. The moment that I have my interest in you and ask questions about you, we start connecting. So it's very simple. You want to connect with somebody? Leave where you are. Go to where they are. Ask questions. And the connection begins. Thanks for being with me today on Minute with Maxwell.
Well, if you want to connect with someone, ask questions. And once you've asked them, you've connected, then you can ask for a hand. Yeah. Leaders touch a heart before they ask for a hand. So I'm going to share with you a story. This is one of my leadership fails. Okay, fails as in I failed in leadership. This was in 2012 when I was the organizing chairperson for the KK 2012 District 87 Toastmasters Convention. So Toastmasters is an NGO. So I was asked to represent the district to organize this amazing convention where we were going to have over 350, almost 400 delegates from all over the district. The district comprised of Sabah, Sarawak, Indonesia, Brunei, Labuan, and then West Malaysia, Singapore, and Australia delegates were coming as well because you're allowed to come to another district's convention. And so a lot of organization was necessary, and a lot of meetings outside of work hours. And all my team, the whole team, were volunteers because it's an NGO, right? It's an NGO. And this is just snippets of newspaper clippings from the convention itself. So we went to meet the Deputy Chief Minister at the time, Dr. Yi, and then we had all this amazing workshops because our keynote speaker was a former world champion and former international president of Toastmasters, Dr. Dilip Abayasekara, who flew in all the way from the US just to speak to us and give the keynote presentation. And we also had the district championship speech contest being held as well. And after that, the winner, actually from Indonesia, is in the middle there, the winner was actually given the opportunity to fly all the way to the US for the World Championships semifinals. So it was huge. It was huge. And I was stressed because on top of my normal work at IEC, I was a manager back then. I was I didn't have time, and I wanted to do it perfectly. You know, I was being me. I was the idea person. I was the talent magnet. I wanted to do everything, so much so that I failed at listening. And it came to a fiery exchange just 3 days before the convention, because my team felt that they weren't appreciated. They felt that I wasn't listening to them. They felt that I wanted to take over everything, which subconsciously I was trying to, because I wanted everything to be perfect. And deep down, I knew that this was a voluntary project. So I didn't feel good at that time. I was in my early 30s. I didn't feel good in asking people to do a job if I thought I could do it. But in doing that, in having that subconscious thinking, I wasn't allowing them the opportunity to grow. I wasn't allowing them the honor and the acceptance that, hey, I've taken on this role, Jasmine, give me a chance. Give me a chance. You're not listening. You're not seeking to understand. And so it all came to a head 3 days before the convention, and everyone was just sounding out their displeasure at my leadership skills 3 days before. Now I had choices. I had two choices. First choice would be I would stand up and say, fine, you all want to do this convention yourself, you do it. I'm not being paid anyway. And I could have just walked out and let the convention be without an organizing chairperson or a leader. But the second choice I had was to stay, listen, eat humble pie around that round table that day. I mean, my mom was there too, so it was really embarrassing when you have everyone against you at the round table. And after that I said, guys, I'm so sorry. I did not know that I was putting everyone in such a situation, that I was trying to gain control so much that I was losing control in the end. And so I listened, I ate humble pie, and I said, okay, from now on, 3 days before, the roles are back to you, and I appreciate all of you, and I thank you all for your hard work. And at the end of the convention, not only did everything go swimmingly well, it went astoundingly well. And I still remember at the closing ceremony when I had each one of my team, I had over 20 in my team, all up on stage, and I recognized every single one of them. And I said, everybody, Toastmasters, fellow members and guests, the one thing I've learned throughout this whole 6-8 months of organizing this amazing convention that you are all part of is that efficiency doesn't matter, but people do. Efficiency doesn't matter, but people do. And I'm just going to show you some of the accolades that came in after the convention. Sometimes when you go to a convention and they give a feedback form at the end of the convention, yeah, you would fill it up and you would hand it back before you go home. But all these accolades that came in were sent to me after the convention. They took the time to email me all what they thought about the convention. So let me just read to you a short one. Thank you. Congrats to you and team for a job well done. We learned much and enjoyed ourselves. Our club placed an order for the DVD. Looking forward to sharing with our members. And we had some Chinese ones that said, 恭喜你们啊, they really loved it. We had a Chinese section and an English section to organize as well. So it was very, very stressful. And we have someone from Swan City Toastmasters, Cebu in Sarawak. Hi, you are simply the best. Never have I enjoyed a convention like this one. I mean, people took the time to write in. And that is just a testament to not really my leadership, but but choosing to change and choosing to eat humble pie towards the end and acknowledging my team. And then these were just some more, you did a fantastic job, memorable, carry on, please keep up the good work. And it just went on. And I printed all this out to give to each of my team members at the end, because I wanted them to see, look at the impact you have made, because you have risen up and lifted others up during the convention. We even had a Chief Minister's Department of Toastmasters that came all the way from Kuching. This was from Kuching. So it was pretty amazing. And it was all because I corrected my listening skills, thankfully, before the convention began. So in order to not follow my mistake, ask questions first, listen, and connect with your audience. And that leads me to my second point. Second principle of lifting your leadership lid is to connect with people before asking them to change. Connect with people before asking them to change. This links to our first principle as well, when John Maxwell says, you got to connect with them, and you connect by asking questions. And you also connect with people before you ask them to do anything. My issue was that I asked people to do everything without really getting to know them, without really understanding what situations they were in. I had one of the members who had to wake up very early every morning to go to work because it was important to her to get to work on time. I mean, it's important for everyone, but particularly for this member. And every time that she would leave early from the meeting, I would assume that she is absconding her responsibility. I would assume that, and I failed to connect. So you might also ask, but when do I push them to do something, and when do I be patient with them? You can't just connect and be nice to everyone all the time. There has to be some leadership qualities that will discipline your team so that they will be able to do the roles, right? You can't just be, whenever you want to submit that report, you can submit it. It's up to you because I want to connect with you. It's not that kind of connection as well. So John Maxwell says this: you push team members in areas of choice. So attitude, responsibility, work ethic. So that means if they have a choice in that, if they have a choice in responsibility, in taking responsibility, then you push that. Or if they come in with a bad attitude, then you can discipline them and push them in that to lift their attitude to a better one, to a more positive one. But in terms of skill, be patient. In terms of skill, experience, and background, be patient. I hope that makes sense, right? It does make sense, because with skills and background and experience, everyone needs time to learn that. But in areas of choice, in attitude, in responsibility, in work ethic, that you can lead, be strong and firm, and discipline them as well. Number 3, third principle is demonstrate transparency before challenging them. A leader's story of struggle, growth, and improvement can inspire people and change their lives. So many times as leaders, or even as coaches now, we think that we need to be strong, we need to show that we're strong. Yes, we do. But we forget that we're only human and that we do have weaknesses. And actually people get inspired by listening to our failures. So that's why it took me some time to think about whether I should share my leadership fail, or should I just share how wonderful the convention was because I was such a great leader. And John Maxwell says, no, share your failures, share your struggles, because that makes you human, number 1. And number 2, it helps you connect with them even more. Because frankly speaking, everyone already knows that you are weak in certain areas. Everyone already knows. But when you say it, when you acknowledge it, that gains you respect. So demonstrate transparency before challenging people. So ask yourself, when you're leading a team and when you're leading your teachers or your students, these 3 questions. What do I want them to know? What do you want them to know? What this relates to the mind. Yeah, this relates to the mind, or what you want them to know. What knowledge do you want them to take home today? Number 2, what do I want them to do? This refers to action. What do you want them to do with the knowledge that they have from this i-SENSEI webinar, for example? And number 3, what do I want them to feel? This links to the heart. What do you want them to feel after this 1 hour of webinar, for example? Or what is we've heard the objectives of i-SENSEI already, as read by one Carol. And so we know that these are great objectives, but with every webinar, what else? What do you want to know from here? What do you want to do after this? How are you going to apply it to your teaching or to your coaching of the teachers? And what do you want them to feel? Inspired to do what? You're motivated to do what? They've learned something to do what? So this is a story of John Maxwell when he was preaching to his congregation or trying to demonstrate transparency and inviting them to join him on a mission to conduct a leadership program for Paraguay, a country. So countries are now asking John Maxwell and his team in the US to come along with him to countries to set up round tables. They call it Change Your World tables, to go on discussions on politics, on government issues, and like blue ocean strategies to try and transform the leadership in that country. It's quite amazing. So what he did was gather everyone around and said, this is a mission that's going to be really difficult. I've never done this before. I've never led a country or led a team to transform a country with that objective. The percentage of failure is very high. You are not going to get paid very well, because if we don't do well, then the country's not going to pay us. But it's going to be life-changing. So are you with me? So he set the vision right. He managed to inspire everyone. And because of that, 200 coaches decided to join him on this life-changing mission to lead a transformation table. They call it transformation table, not Change Your World table. Transformation tables in Paraguay, the country. So Maxwell says this: the weight of the vision prompts 2 indispensable qualities in a leader: consistency and intensity. So if you have a vision and you want to get people on your team, you demonstrate transparency before you try to get them in, and you share with them your vision. Because once you do that, you create consistency and you create intensity of that vision for them to go with you. Right now, I can already feel the vision of SISC Plus and also JPN and i-SENSEI, which is to go from number 16 to number 10 to number 10, number 6 to number 10. And after that, I'm sure it will be number 10 to number 5, number 5 to number 1. It's not going to stop there, right? Number 4, and a final one for today, is put others ahead of you. Put others ahead of you. So many times as a leader, we think that we have to go forward. We have to be at the front and know everything and be able to do everything, not show our weaknesses, not ask too many questions, because, followers are meant to just follow and not ask questions. Like children, don't ask questions, just follow. I know what's best for you. And Maxwell says, no, you want to be a servant leader. So you put others ahead of you. You think for others before you think for yourself. And under this, there are 3 points I want to share as well. Maxwell says, number A is, why do we put others ahead of us? Is A, reality. As the challenge escalates, the need for teamwork elevates. You can't do this alone. So if you don't put others ahead of you, you're not going to be successful in bringing your vision to life. And if you are successful bringing your own vision to life by yourself, then it's not a very big vision. Right? Imagine if the convention, if everyone had left me and I was the only one running it, I don't think it would have been a very successful convention. So reality is, as the challenge escalates, the need for teamwork elevates. So we need every single one of you teachers, every single one of you coaches to be at your best in order to go for that elusive number 10, which may not be so elusive once we all lift our leadership lids. B, maturity. With one tiny exception, the world is composed of others. Yes, so true, so true. John defines maturity as unselfishness. If we are mature and we grow in maturity, we will automatically think to put others ahead of us rather than ourselves first, right? And C is profitability. Profitability. We measure our success by what we give and not what we gain. We measure our success by what we give and not what we gain. Now, what does that mean? Well, basically, givers gain. Givers gain. When we put others ahead of you and you think for others and you work for others and you want to add value to others, if that is your sole purpose, then you'll be lifting others. Automatically, your ability to lift and lead others will be so attractive, because when we apply all these 4 principles, when we question and listen to understand, when we lead by asking, when we lead with the heart rather than ask with the heart first, without asking for the hand, we connect better as well. When we demonstrate transparency, we show that we're human. And when we put others ahead of us, we become so attractive because people will want to be around you. People will want to do things for you because they feel encouraged, they feel lifted, they grow, and in turn, you grow as well. So I'm going to ask Miss Carmela as well, again, to show our 3rd video of Maxwell for today, and it's all about profitability. Let's hear what he has to say.
Hi, John Maxwell here. Welcome to Minute with Maxwell. Today's word is profit. If you're a business person, you know that we're talking about return on your investment, the bottom line. Sometimes I shy away from the word because I think that it can give me the wrong motives for doing something. I've always basically felt that what I needed to do was to add value to people in such a way that it would turn into profit down the road. But instead of looking for the bottom line, the ROI, the profit, I wanted to be profitable to others. So I would encourage you to take the word profit and quit worrying about the bottom line and begin to immerse yourself into being a profitable person to others, one who adds value, one who brings a new, better dimension into people's life. And here's what I've learned. If you're profitable to others by adding value to them, that'll add value to the bottom line. And yes, because you're profitable, you'll get a profit. Let's not get those words confused, and let's not get the order confused. I'm profitable to others, and the odds increase that I'll have a profit on the bottom line. My name's John Maxwell. I'm glad you're with me today on Minute with Maxwell.
Isn't it? It's not just about the bottom line, but it's about adding value to people. So what does Maxwell say? Measure your success by what you give, not what you gain. Never focus on making profit, focus on making people. Never focus on starting companies, focus on starting people. See, it's all about people here. And never focus on growing production, focus on growing people. So I know that as a teacher and as a coach in the education department, we need to do a lot of reports, right? A lot of reports, we need to file in certain things, and we have a lot of tasks, administrative tasks. And very often we forget that it's actually more about the students, more about the people that we're working with. And if we can focus on that and less on, I need to get this report done because otherwise I'll have a bad report at the end of the year. Instead of thinking of that, thinking of, okay, why am I doing this? How can I make this more profitable so that I can add value to the next person? Maybe that will help us to be even more productive in the future. So, in a nutshell, there are 4 ways we can raise our ability to lift and lead others. Number 1, ask questions and listen to understand and find your people. Number 2, connect with people before asking them to change. Not everyone loves change. Actually, nobody likes change, but we've all had to adapt accordingly. But when you connect with people, it's easier, much easier to invite them to change with you. You demonstrate transparency before challenging them. If you're going to give them a challenge, make sure you show them that, okay, well, I'm in this too, and I don't know whether this is going to work, but if we do it together, we can make it work, right? For example, at the challenge of going to number 10, we're not going to do it by ourselves. One person, one teacher can't do it, but as a collective, as a whole state, if everybody lifted others up, we're going to reach number 10 in no time, right? And number 4, put others ahead of you. Put others ahead of you. And that's it from me officially. So do connect with me. You can email me on coachjasmineleong@gmail.com or follow me on Instagram and Facebook if you do want to continue connecting. And I'm going to now open up the time for some Q&A. So back to you, Teacher Anandan.
Thank you again, Ms. Jasmine. It was wonderful. I was attracted to some of the phrases like, leadership is influence. Is nothing more, nothing less.
Yes.
And also like leaders touch hearts. And I think if we believe in what John Maxwell says, I think we can go far. Right.
Yes.
I think we can go. I thank you again, Ms. Jasmine, and we shall now move on to questions. To begin with, I have a few questions with me to be directed to our eloquent speaker, Ms. Jasmine. Let's take the questions one at a time.
Okay, shoot. I look forward to it.
All right. Okay, let me ask questions like, there are teachers and sometimes students who are talented, but they always, they refrain from being in the limelight.
Shy.
How do senior, they are shy and inhibited. So how do senior leaders spot, then lift and lead them?
That's such a good question, Mr. Anandan. Thank you for that. How do seniors spot and lift to lift and lead them? Well, I think senior leaders' responsibility is really to identify their team's strengths and bring it to light. It is really your responsibility as a leader to see whether your team is growing. So again, like the 4 principles, right? Connect with them, ask questions, listen, and then delegate roles, I think, according to their strengths. And once you do that, then their strengths will come up because everyone has different strengths. Their strengths will reveal itself and it will come to light whether they want, however much they want to hide it. You can't keep a good man down. You can't keep a good woman down or a good leader down as well. It will come to light. But I think the senior leader's responsibility is to identify by connecting and asking questions. So I hope that helps.
Very true, very true. And also you did mention about communication. Communication, yes. How to communicate. If you want to communicate well, then you have to ask more questions. All right.
Yes.
Okay. And then also you should listen to those who are, your subordinates. Otherwise, you won't know what they can do.
Exactly.
So, correct. Yeah. And then let's see. Shall we move on to the next question? Besides, like we see in schools, we have different levels of staffs. We have MLT. We have SLT, who are senior leaders team, and then we have MLT, middle leader team. We have students, we have normal teachers, we have staffs, we have clerical staffs, we have cleaning staffs. So there are many stages of positions they hold. So besides having administrative responsibilities, senior leaders are also responsible in developing others in schools. They cannot just leave them, okay, you are a cleaner, you be there, there all the time. So how can senior leaders create space? Because they need space for them to, get involved. So how can senior leaders create space for others to participate in the team?
Wow, how to create space for others to participate in the team. So participate in what? In growth? In
growth.
Decisions? In growth?
Yeah, in the team so that they can grow together, as you mentioned earlier.
They can grow together. Okay. Well, I think as a leader, you're already in charge of the whole group, right? So everyone's already in the team, right? Everyone's already in the team in a sense. But what you're saying is they're not in the inner team where they can go for this personal development because they're all at different stages.
Yeah.
Okay. For me, it's the same thing. Connect with them, ask questions, listen, and see if what they're doing is within their strength zone. I don't think it's necessary to create extra space because we may not have time for that. Because, like, for example, a cleaner will only work from what time to what time, and then they don't have time to go for a leadership training. Apa-apalah itu, you know, they probably won't understand it as well because everyone's at different levels. I don't think it's necessary to create extra space or extra roles for them if there isn't one, but they can grow where they are in their current roles. But we have to ensure they're growing. So how do we do that? Maxwell has this list of, let me see whether I can find it. He talks about making sure that as a leader, you create a growth environment for your team. Okay, here it is. He says that leaders must always take responsibility for the growth of their organizations, which is exactly what you said. So they must always ensure that each person is individually challenged. So if they're doing a task, okay, how can they do it better? The focus is always forward. Okay, what's the next step? How are they growing in that task? What's the next step? The atmosphere is affirming. They have to be encouraging. And then a place where change is desired and growth is modeled and expected. Oh, one more thing he writes down here. See, we have to create a place designed to keep people out of their comfort zone. We have to create a place designed to keep people out of their comfort zone because growth is just outside our comfort zone, right? So as a senior leader, it's our responsibility to create something that just makes them a bit uncomfortable so they're not too comfortable in their current position and they will want to move.
All right.
And I think once everyone has that space to grow, and everyone will level up, hopefully.
Excellent, Jasmine. Okay, then beautiful answers. And also, I've got another two here. I don't know if you can take more questions.
Yes. I think I finished early today, so I do have a lot of time for questions.
Okay, right. So now we go on to a little bit on our students, because we see now even in a school environment, we can spot there are also some talents, hidden among the students, So if there any particular style of approach to empower the leadership traits of students in schools?
That's such a good question. So good. Yeah. There is actually, when I took the John Maxwell program, there was another section for youth leadership. And because I'm working in education and all that, I thought, I must take this supplementary course as well. So Maxwell has a Youth Max, he calls it Youth Max Leadership Program. And I think he has it separate because youth leadership is very delicate, because this is a time when they are still discovering who they are, and it's at the formative years of their leadership development and growth. So you want to take care of it, but at the same time give them opportunity to grow and not badger them so much. So it's very delicate. So there is an approach to empower them. It is still question and listen, but in a teacher-student way. Oh, there's more questions. Let me just answer this question first. Still identify their strengths, and the most important really for the teacher is to encourage and support them in all they do. Don't tell them no. Don't keep telling them no. And especially students nowadays. Hello, we are in the Gen Z generation, right? When you say no, they shut off from you, and then the connection is lost. And if we want to keep the communication open and connection open. So it's very delicate, but there is a way to do that. And on that note, I think I've sent the video on youth leadership to Puan Carmela as well. I was wondering if I have time to share that. It's a 3-minute video on what Youth Max leadership is all about. And Azlina, I will come back to your question in a moment after this short video.
Okay. All right. So Azlina has asked some questions, so we'll come back to that later. So there are questions.
Everything rises and falls on leadership. These are the famous words of internationally recognized leadership expert, speaker, coach, and book author with more than 22 million of his books sold worldwide, John Maxwell. To all the youths out there, here is your chance to be part of a growing global network of future leaders who will shake and shape the world. The John Maxwell Youth Leadership Program is now officially in Malaysia, and we are ready to help you realize your full potential as a leader. Bullying, failure, low self-image are at the heart of many of the challenges facing young people today. Many people seek change in the world, but in reality, we are the change that we seek. The Youth Max MY team is about helping youths grow and develop to meet the challenges of life in today's challenging world. Led by our very own certified Maxwell coach, Jasmine Leong, who has worked for various communities and groups as a leadership coach, you will be guided through 4 different phases of the training, which include stand up and be counted. It has been reported that 84% of children in Malaysia have been bullied. That literally means that out of 10 kids, 8 would have been bullied before. This is a shocking and alarming number. In the first phase of our training, you will learn positive attitudes and actions that can help stop bullying and lift others up. Secondly, you will learn to fail forward to success. Fear of failure is a common thing. In fact, 44.95% of the world's population has some form of phobia related to failure. However, this also becomes the reason why most of us feel stuck in life. In this module, you will learn how to pick yourself up from failure and turn it into a success. The third module is about developing a positive self-image. Self-image is the personal or mental view that we have of ourselves. This forms a collective representation of our strengths and weaknesses as we see them. Under this topic, you will be guided into how you can apply key principles to develop and maintain a positive self-image. And the last part of the training, we will be helping you to develop strong personal character. What's your purpose? How can you find meaning in life? Who are you? These are the questions you will be guided to face and answer in order to embrace your personal mission statement and be the best version of yourself. By being part of this network of future leaders, you are taking the first step to understand how you can help yourself, the people around you, and lead our world into a better future. So guys, if you are interested, do get in touch with us through these following channels to register for our future trainings or for more information. Remember everyone, we cannot do everything, but we can do something by firstly empowering none other than ourselves. I hope to see you soon.
So first of all, sorry for the lagging in the video. I'm not sure what happened there, but this is a fresh video that Hasli and I just came up with, and we're going to launch it actually on Malaysia Day. Hasli is actually also a fellow Sabahan. He's an influencer, a content creator, a fitness educator, etc., etc., and it's going to be one of our guest speakers. Yeah. And basically, the Youth Max Leadership Program is all about talking about bullying, how to fail forward, how to develop self-image, and how to develop good personal character. And I think if we can make this program, go wide and go viral with our Malaysian schools and starting with our Sabah schools, I think it'll be just amazing for the kids to adopt and learn as well. So I hope you enjoyed that video, even though it was shaking a little bit.
Correct. But I think the video is a bit too heavy. But other than that, I think these programs like this will be very effective in schools when talks about bullying and all. All right. We have some questions here. I think if you don't mind taking more questions.
Yes. No, Aslina Ros Abdul Rahman asked, as middle leaders in school, how are we going to empower ourselves to be effective collaborative leaders? So as middle leaders, you feel that you are pressured from on top, and yet you are being pushed from the bottom as well, right? Because you're stuck in the middle. As John Maxwell says, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Everyone is influencing someone. You're influencing up, you're influencing down. So look at your team. Who is within your influence? We are the sum total. They say that we're the sum total of the 5 people that we mix with, that we connect with, that we are together with every day. So look around you. Who are you influencing? Who are you influencing? And work with that. One person at a time. Connect one person at a time. Question and listen to one person at a time, and you will grow your influence to be more collaborative or to whatever vision that you want as well. I hope that helps. Thank you for asking that question, Norazlina.
Yeah, thank you, Norazlina Rose Abdurrahmani. We go on to other questions. Probably this will be the bonus question, probably. Now, when we're talking about leaders and subordinates, let's say when things get sour, in the process of, leading and lifting and all, when things get sour between the leader and staff, who should make the first move to make peace and how? Or what are the best way to tackle this situation? Can it be done? Up to you.
Well, if you're a leader, you're meant to lead and lift, so you should always make the first move. Leaders should always lead. That's what you're meant to do. So it's always the leader that should make the first move. Don't ever think that, it's their fault, therefore they should be the first move. I made that mistake many years back, about over 10 years back, as a very new leader. And when one of my subordinates left and went to a competitor, and I was very angry. I couldn't forgive, and I was like, how can this person do such a thing, etc. And I realized later down the line that the not forgiving and the putting blame was not really hurting the person; it was really hurting myself. So as a leader, 8 years later, I'm sorry to say, but it took me some time to eat humble pie. 8 years later, I decided that this was not right. It was still bothering me. So I called the person up, we had lunch, and I actually asked for this person's forgiveness 8 years down the line. So don't wait, don't be like me. Make the first move, yeah.
Right. When we lose, it doesn't mean that we are actually losers, but we are winners actually, when we...
Yes, exactly. Well put.
Yeah. Okay, then I will see other questions while we have time, while we wait for other questions. Right. We spoke in detail about lifting and leading co-workers and subordinates. And we know that the leader who lifts and leads will succeed in their field. The question is, does every leader need to lift and lead? And what are the types of leadership roles or strategies can they adopt to ensure similar outcomes as the leader who leads and leads?
Okay, so there are 2 questions here. Does every leader need to lift and lead? And then what are the types of leadership roles and strategies is it you can adopt? Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Well, first question, does every leader need to lift and lead? Well, if you're a leader and you're not lifting someone else up, then you're not really leading at all, right? Because that's what Maxwell said. Yeah, Maxwell said at the beginning that if we're supposed to be encouragers, we're supposed to bring people up. If not, then the opposite will be pushing people down. So I think that's a no-brainer there. The second question was on leadership roles and strategies to be able to lift someone up. Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. So the strategy adopted by John Maxwell is quite simple, actually. If you look at all the 4 principles, it's not neuroscience, it's value others, work on their strengths, connect, listen to understand. This will draw people to your team, and they will be happy to be led by you. So I hope that helps. No big strategy of charts and all that. It's just add value to them, connect with them, create a bond, a relationship that where the team will be so strong that you can rise up together.
All right. Good. Excellent. So we go on now. Okay. I've got more questions to ask, but I don't know whether we have any other. I don't think we have other questions, but I can go on with the questions
we
here.
have one more. One just came in from Lai Mui Kyun. Thank you for asking this. Sustaining a good team and moving them to the next level is very challenging. Oh, of course. There have been a lot of conflicts and disagreement. How do you keep the team together? I think everyone has to parrot me now. Connect with each of them. Okay, well, first of all, it's always challenging to go to the next level, and that's exactly what happened to me. Thank you so much for that question, Mui Kyun. That's exactly what happened to me in 2012 when I tried to do everything myself, and I wanted the convention to be in such a level that it was very challenging. So what I could have done to avoid the conflict and disagreement. I don't think you can ever avoid conflict and disagreement, by the way. There's always going to be some because everyone has different personalities and everyone has different ways of communicating as well. So how do you keep the team together? Divide and conquer. What I mean by that is take them aside to see exactly what the issue is. So try not to talk to them as a group first, because as a group, they may just gang up on you and attack you because that's the group way of doing things. So take them aside, connect with them, ask them exactly what is the issue, and then always look at how you can add value. So don't go into the meeting thinking, okay, I have to defend myself now. I have to defend myself because I'm right. If you go in with that, it's never going to work out well.
Attitude, yeah.
You have to eat humble pie and go in with, okay, how can I help you? How can I add value to you so that we can all do this together? And I think once you have everyone on your side, then you have the big meeting together. And hopefully by that time, everyone's already on your side.
There's another question, Jasmine, from William Mark Joseph Raj. He says, hi, Coach Jasmine. Leaders are not born, but they are made to be one. But if a person has a very introvert personality, how to make him or her to be a leader?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. Thank you, William Mark Joseph Raj. Leadership is not about personalities. That's the beauty of leadership. Leadership is not about personalities. It's all about influence. And the most introverted person can be a leader as well. And you look at the how many prime ministers have Malaysia had already? All the 6, 7, 8 prime ministers that we've had. Every leader was not everyone was an extrovert. Or you look at the world leaders. Not everyone is extrovert as well. I mean, take, for example, Donald Trump and Joe Biden. One is an introvert and one is an extrovert. Obviously, very obviously as well. So really, it is not about personality. It's about influence. If we can tap into the introvert person's strengths, which is their listening skills, they're much better listeners than the extroverts. They can empathize a lot better as well. I think even Barack Obama would consider himself an introvert rather than an extrovert. So if you look at the personalities of all the leaders in the world, half of them, majority of them are introverts.
All right.
But they knew the magic of influencing by listening.
Yeah.
I hope that helps. Thank you for that question.
That's good. Yeah. There is one question which is a good one. I think obviously she's a teacher, Betty Leong. She says, hi, Coach Jasmine, how to communicate and connect effectively with our teenage students? Any tips?
They live in another world. Right? They live in another world. We cannot understand what world they're living in nowadays.
Excuse me, she's also comparing with this, the boomers and Gen X and Gen Y. Right?
Yes. Okay, this probably cannot be answered in just one answer. We have a whole program just for how to communicate between the generations. And I just attended this talk I attended a Toastmasters convention just recently, a few weeks ago, and he talked about communicating through the generations. And he used the telephone as an example. He says back in the day, in the boomers generation, our parents' generation, when people call the landlines, you wouldn't know who they are. So when you answer the landline, And nowadays, people don't even have landlines. But when you answer the landline, you have to be very formal, right? Hello, this is whose house, who is speaking. So it's very formal. And because it's about when you grow up, right? And then you come to Generation X, which is my generation, where there's an answering machine. And we had to talk really fast, because if we don't talk fast enough, the answering machine will suddenly close off on you and cut off your message. And then you have the Y that has the phone, and suddenly the communication, it becomes very informal, because you know exactly who you're talking to. And Gen Z is even worse. Gen Z is even worse. I'm dealing with students who are teenagers, like Miss Betty is dealing with teenagers who are WhatsApping me at 12 midnight, asking, oh, by the way, Miss Jasmine, what about this university? What do you think about it at 12 midnight? I'm thinking, apalah, have some respect of time and personal space. But no such thing already, because of the way we're communicating and how communication devices have become so different from when we grew up. It's not because they don't respect you. It's because they don't know any different. They did not grow up with landlines. They did not grow up with ways where they had to be formal. They could always connect straight away on the phone. So how? First of all, understand that they grew up in very different times. And number two, ask questions. Listen to understand, connect with them. They do actually want to connect. Actually, Gen Z wants to connect more than ever. Right. So, yeah.
Good.
To find a way how to, we have to do another workshop, I think. But keep at it, Betty.
Good. So we have questions. We have our questions, but this question sounds like, maybe you have answered many of it, but there are questions like, there are some leaders who, with a little effort, able to lift and lead their working colleagues due to support given by the team or by themselves, by the subordinates. But there are also others who struggle to lead or lift in the process. Do you have any advice or last words for those who may be struggling to lead or lift their colleagues or teams in achieving work goals? Because some, they may not have much difficulty, and some will have a lot of challenges. So how do you take it?
Yeah, I know. I understand as well, and also depends on the team, right? Because everyone has different personalities. So I do understand that. I think it's always good to do a self-check. Instead of saying, how can I lead them? Do a self-check. How are you leading yourself? Are you being successful in your own task? Are you leading by example? Are you making every day a win for you? And another amazing quote by John Maxwell that I love is that success is determined by your daily agenda. If you're winning the day and you're making your daily agenda a win every single day, then you don't even have to lead others. People will automatically follow you, because when you're so secure and firm in your own self-leadership, because as we all know, the toughest person to lead is really ourselves, right? We tell people what to do, no problem. We tell our children what to do, no problem. But with ourselves, we give excuses after excuses. I'm trying to lose 5 kilos, but I've been trying to do that for 10 years, not successful, things like that. Okay. So once you've conquered self-leadership, because the toughest person to lead is ourselves, then we become a magnet for other people to emulate or other people to be influenced by how we lead ourselves. Okay. So maybe focus on that, because you can control, but you can't really control other people, right? True. But you can control yourself. So I would always go with that. So I hope that helps.
Okay, I think probably I will take one last question. It looks like the question is directed to you, Jasmine. Directed for your own consideration. Here it says, perhaps in our daily life, we have seen and witnessed many leaders who have left great memories and have impacted our life. Who are some of the proponents of certain leadership styles, or who are some of the leaders you personally follow that has changed your approach or given you a better understanding to what it takes to lift and lead?
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you for that. That's a great question. My mentors, first of all, my parents. My parents are great leaders in their own right. Dr. Adeline, who has led her state library and all that. My dad, who has led the company. And then further from home is the international leaders like John Maxwell, of course. The reason I chose his program, because there's so many coaching programs to choose from, I chose his because of his values and the way he teaches. It's so simple. It's so simple and yet so hard to apply sometimes, you know. And I realized that leadership doesn't have to be hard, but it can be simple but hard to apply. And then other people that I do follow is Simon Sinek, Craig Groeschel. He has a great podcast. And then close to home would be YB Hannah Yo, Marina Mahathir, you know, all these Malaysian women leaders that I look up to and I follow because they have such a passion for Malaysia and giving back to the community. So yeah, these are my heroes or heroines.
I think many in future will also look up at you, you know, as a leader. Yeah. All right. Very good. I think we have taken enough, and due to time constraint and all, so we'll go on to the other part. And I would like to thank all for the questions asked. We appreciate your involvement in this question and answer section. So that was, by Jasmine. That was such an insightful and inspiring talk. And the points raised are very relevant and interesting to our work life today. I briefly summarized what Ms. Jasmine has spoken just now. And leadership is really all about one life influencing the others.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what position you are in or holding, nor at what age you are at. If we can all apply these 4 principles of asking questions to understand, connecting with others, demonstrating transparency, and putting others ahead of ourselves, we can continue lifting others and leading them to reach their full potential. Beautiful. What a noble occasion to aspire to. Thank you once again, Ms. Jasmine Leong, for an extraordinarily informative speech. We wish you the best in every future undertakings. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow coaches, educators, and friends, we have reached the end of our session. We truly hope this talk has benefited myriad individuals, teachers, and leaders of organizations, and those who aspire to be one in the future. We look forward to meeting all of you again soon. Thank you once again, Ms. Jasmine Leong, for extraordinary speech. And ladies and gentlemen, fellow coaches, we have reached the end of our session. And a gentle reminder, again, to all audience to register your attendance using the link given. We hope to meet again in our next CPD, that is the 11th section of the i-SENSEI initiative. We truly hope this talk, benefited many. We look forward. So before I sign off, I will pass the time now to the expressive and charming MC, Madam Carol Yap. Madam Carol Yap.
Thank you, Mr. Anandan. I truly enjoy your Madam Miss Adeline, Miss Leong, your inspiring talk. All right, okay, dear audience, friends, and colleagues. Now is the golden time for us to present the certificate of appreciation to our respected speaker, Coach Jasmine Leong. It is indeed our great pleasure and privilege to listen to your insightful, inspiring, and amazing sharing. Ladies and gentlemen, all good things must come to an end. And it is time that we bid farewell to each and every one of you. On behalf of the committee members of i-SENSEI CBT 10, I would like to express our absolute gratitude for your presence with us. We appreciate your unstinting support and undivided attention during the wonderful talk. We feel deeply honored by you. Please click like on this YouTube channel, and to all the education officers and teachers, don't forget to fill in your attendance in the attendance link for the record of your SPL KPM. We look forward to seeing you in our next i-SENSEI CBT course. Goodbye. Till we meet again.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your generous comments. Go out and make an impact.
Thank you, Madam Jasmine and all the viewers.
Thank you for the wonderful questions, Ms. Anandan.
I really enjoyed the conversation between two of you, and your answers were amazing.
Oh,
Wish
no.
Wish we had
This broken arrow hangs over my head. Hold steady, oh, hold steady. We soldier on down to the last drum. Keep your eyes on me when they're closing in. We begin again. I know we'll make it out with a stronger heart and a will to live. We begin again. We begin again. When the line's ahead and we come so far, hold on to my hand. Like thunder to the ground, we light the dark with the roaring sound. It's who we are, thunder to the ground. These eyes ain't war. I held my own, no, and now I know we're stronger when we're not alone. We light the fire, burn through the night, and I'm not afraid this time. Keep your eyes on me when they're closing in. We begin again. I know we'll make it out with a stronger heart and a will to live. We begin again. We begin again. When the line's ahead and we come so